Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It is time for day 2 of the QPL Stage 2 Finals. I'm your host, DJ Weed, joined by 40 Lions and ZSX. Gentlemen, we had a action-packed day yesterday, and if any indication of what we might experience today, it's going to be great. You know, chef's kiss. It's going to be awesome. Good morning. How you doing, 40?
Good. Bright and early, Wheat. I'm sure you know better than most of us.
About that, yeah.
Looking forward to the games, Dan. How about you?
Not so early to me, but still looking forward to the games. As we said, we saw some great games yesterday, but now the big guns of last stage come rolling through, so let's see what they can bring to the party.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at a day 1 recap video in just a moment here, but I do want to note the notable exits of yesterday. Hilson, Sparty, and Dewey all eliminated from the stage finals and losses in the lower bracket. A rough go for many, but there was a lot of just phenomenal action yesterday. Let's check out how day 1 went down right here.
Destroying it. Helping a little bit here by negating that tick damage. What a rail from Hell.
He's only got a rocket launcher to work with. Hell's got all the weaponry. It actually gets bounced into position, but bounced onto a rocket. The Pika comes out, and the Pika is the right choice.
Good job of zoning out Hell, and actually all this chip damage adds up. There's the turret to try and trap him into the rail. Beautiful pop. Starting to land the shots again that he needs. There's the cutoff from Garpy again that we've seen. Can he pop it? Almost gets the rail before the mega pickup as Garpy steals that away. Hell on death's door needs to be careful, but the rail from down below.
But it goes to show how the game has been played. CNZ, way less major items compared to Bugster. A great chance to stabilize, all things considered. Now, I don't want to get hung up on that first map too much, because the reality is accidents happen. It's just the way it goes. But I think it's good that in this position,
now he has to get out. CNZ doesn't want to let him. Oh! Through the closing doors and actually off the spawn as well.
I'm not expecting Sib to make 2 more mistakes that would let Dewey capitalize. Dewey on the chase though. Huge LG damage shield is popped, but holding him up. Dewey with that shotgun around the corner does a lot of damage. Falls down 16 points of health, but Peeker used defensively saves him, but a rocket. Nice read by Sib on top of that light. Yep, Dewey now dodging and dancing around those flames. Does get a couple nice rocket shots, but Sib equalizing once again by hitting those rails.
Sets him up perfectly. He doesn't need to overextend here. Chance has already got a good spawn with a rocket, but as I say that, an opening with a full 100 rocket.
Tempting Saigib with that shaft. 12 to 3. Saigib floats him easily. Trying to put pressure on this heavy again. Time is going down. Okay, the trade comes out. Wow.
I think your point about Saigib's reps in the QPL is summed up by the way Chance is playing. You can see he's got all the skills needed, but he's just being pulled apart by moves that might work at a lower level.
he hasn't got a lot of weapons. He's only just been able to get the rocket, but I think when life gives you lemons, you get the gauntlet out. Oh no, but the grenade trade! If we get the heavy, we have a super shotgun LG, we can fight. But Caller. Oh, cool! On the way forward! There's the orb!
Still so much time in the game. He knows 1 frag is all he needs. If it's a clean one, he can make a push here. He knows he's got Zenico trapped. He's going to leave the Pika, go around the corner, but he eats a full rocket.
Forces the Ghost Walk out, up the jump pad. Is it going to be down to 3 points of health? A mid-air rocket, but still is taken down.
Mind-blowing. He's had almost permanent overstack the whole game. How can you play against that?
That is going to be
miss.
a tall order. Yep, that missed rail, very important. Garpy, those are some excellent rockets. He still has a shot catch up. This might be it. This should be a frag for the Brit once more.
Casually walking back, struggling. Mox. Oh!
Up 3. Might get caught on the banana. There's the rockets! And now Maxter is the one flying off the map. Deploys Timmy, 5 HP, and Kilson follows up with a great rail.
He knows where Kilson is. He's stuck. It's a big choke point. Big rocket and the frag!
Shooting a 70% right now, 7 of 10 shots.
Oh my
hit,
God.
And another one. Nosfit almost looks like a completely different player. He is on fire. Not what I was expecting in this matchup.
And at this point, Sparty definitely admitting defeat. He knows there's nothing he can do to recover from this.
No heavy machine gun, no rockets. Does manage to escape and makes his way over towards the heavy, and there we go. That was sick. Mega goes his way as well. Find another shot indeed. And Havoc still doing significantly more damage, around 600, 700 points more. But those are some excellent rails from the American player taking down Havoc.
Timmy causing a problem right now for Dehang as he just wants to take those long angles, but he can't. There's the rocket to 1 HP on CNZ and almost steals away the heavy, but Dehang puts a stop to that.
Goes aggressive, but that is a really bad orb. He's going to try and push his way up, but that's not the play as CNC gets another frag on the board.
And that was just some of the action taking place during day 1 of the Stage 2 finals. Gentlemen, let's take a look at this bracket because it will give us a preview of some of the games that we're going to see today. And we will look at the schedule as well so that you can map out your day. But, you know, certainly quite a few games played yesterday. We saw a mixture of the regions really coming together. We had all of the challenger games. And I know I asked this question to you both near the end of the first day. But were there any notable matches that just kind of blew you away in case someone's just joining us today and they need to go back and watch some VODs?
Absolutely, Maxter Kilson was a fantastic game. And then in the lower bracket, Zanaku Kilson, just because that was what led to Kilson, you know, day 1 exit, which is absolutely absurd for the 2-time champion. Those two stand out the most in my head. I don't know about Dan.
Oh, I echo that. I would also add into the mix base Zanaku. Not the highest scoring game, but strategically a really interesting match. So can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, absolutely love that game as well. Very, very low scoring, but some great play in those series. And let's take a look at the schedule for today. Now, most of the today will be consisting of the upper bracket round of 16, and then we're going to have the upper bracket quarterfinals, and that's where you see Rafa versus Maxter, Nasa versus Avic, Hang TBD, as well as another TBD match. And all games today will be best of 3. The final 5 matches will be elimination matches. So in each of those matches, one player will be sent home. That will be their second chance in the tournament. And a loss there means that your life in the Stage 2 finals is over. So a great mixture of quite a bit of action. We will also then start to fill out that bracket for tomorrow as Championship Sunday hits and things definitely begin to heat up. So, gentlemen, what games are you excited for coming up here?
I mean, you have to have your eye on Rafa versus Maxter. Maxter, one of the few players to give Rafa a run for his money and take a map off of him during the regular season. Now he gets the run back, coming off a really hot streak. I mean, everyone is Team Maxter right now. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, he's taken out 2 former champions. I've got money on him to take out a 3rd, so, you know. Vamos Argentina. But we're at the stage of the tournament where every match now means so much and everyone's playing so damn well. But if I had to pick one outside of Rafa Maxter, it's going to be the one we're going to cast now for the base versus vengeurR.
And that is a perfect segue, Dan. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say, because coming up right now, vengeurR versus base is about to happen. These two players, certainly great players to watch throughout the entirety of Stage 2 here of the QPL Season 2. vengeurR, he had some really insightful interviews this past season where you really can start to see sort of his journey in the world of becoming a Quake great and identifying, you know, some of the strengths and weaknesses that he has where he feels like he needs to work. He's absolutely been a treat to watch. 40, talk to me a little bit about vengeurR.
I mean, taking a look at the stage, right? The results pretty fantastic. 3rd seed in terms of stage finals, always kind of knocking on the door, top 4, maybe top 3, but never really getting to where he wants in the grand finals. And maybe this could be the birth of a grand finals for vengeurR.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is his stage to step up. If I'm looking at his performances over the last season, only one blip in 0-3 Avec where he admittedly didn't play well at all and kind of had a period of self-reflection on what happened there. The loss to Cooler as well was a little bit of a blip, but I mean, you're taking out Razy, you're taking out Base, taking out Cypher. These are big names, and so consistency and growth is what we've seen from him. And if he can take that into the finals again, I definitely feel he can progress upon his traditional top 4 placement.
And his opponent, Base, who he did defeat 2-1, is certainly a player that I've really enjoyed watching. He is controversial in his play, as some people feel like his style is quote-unquote annoying. But personally, I think that he's really put on some amazing games, and whether that is a factor of his opponents needing to adjust to his play style or him having to be on his toes because another player is kind of pushing their play style on them. Either way, I'm really enjoying the games as of late that we are seeing versus Base, and this I think is going to be another one. Dan, I'm going to start with you on this one. Base put together a great victory yesterday in his matchup. What do you think about Base here?
I think he's been trying to evolve somewhat. We spoke about it yesterday. Like, we've seen a lot more aggression coming out of him. Like, he's picking Athenas, he's picking Anarchies now, which are more aggressive play styles. And if you just look at the results there, it wasn't his best season, but the most notable thing to me is that he didn't lose 0-3 once. He's always someone that finds a way to grind out a result to keep a map close, and that means he's always in a series. And that's perfect for tournament play. When the pressure ramps up, he's the one that's a bit more stable than some other players. So whoever he goes against, whether it's Rafa, whether it's vengeurR, he's going to give them a run for their money, and we've seen him do that time and time again.
Completely agree, and I think yesterday, as we were discussing, he's one of the type of players that makes the opponent play into his hands, and that's fantastic. I mean, it goes along with what Wheat said too. Like, a lot of people, it's polarizing, right? They're like, oh, Base plays so slow or so whatever defensive, but yeah, in tournament setting, even in the regular season, you want to play your game, you want to force your opponent to play into your hands, and he's one of the best at it. So why would you change that up? Granted, he can adapt if he needs to, but it takes a lot for the opponent to be able to dictate the pace of the game versus Base.
Well, that pace of the game and the tempo can often be defined by the maps and the champions that are picked. So let's take a look at those picks and bans to see how this one is going to play out. On terms of bans, we see Base tossing out Corrupted Keep, vengeurR tossing out Veil, and that will leave us on Awoken for map 1, map 2, Ruins, and map 3, if we get there, Molten Falls.
Interesting. I think Doom, I mean, we look at Awoken, vengeurR actually gave up Doom, which is a little bit unusual, and first picks the Galena, so I must have a clear strategy in mind as to why he has done that. Maybe it's just a denial pick away from Base. He saw how well Base can play Galena. Not too sure about that, maybe just to get it away from the ruins. Either way, that's a pretty interesting start from him, because he would normally take the Doom. He's then taken Anarchy as well, which is the base favorite, so it looks like he's done some denial picks here, but saying that he's also begin to play a lot more Anarchy, and then Molten finishing on the Ranger as well is a good pick. But Visor, we've seen time and time again on Molten come to great effect, and that will actually enable base to play even more of a defensive play style, and be kind of big-brained about the way he plays the map when he has that additional vision.
Yeah, I completely agree on the kind of letting Doom slide. I do feel like yesterday, and maybe just overall, the Galena danger with base and him setting up shop with the totems and constantly having overstack definitely played into it. And Wenger was like, you know what, I'm willing to give up mobility to just take that overstack away from base and kind of play maybe a little bit altered style, knowing that higher mobility is available to base. But you give base overstack, it's going to be a hard time. So I think Wenger kind of knows what he's doing with that pick. Going into Ruins, Anarchy versus Eisen, that's interesting, right? I mean, getting the pipe from Timmy might be bad if you get stuck in a bad situation with heavy and whatnot. So we'll see how it goes. Again, as always, selfish guy over here, right? I want it to go all three. I just want to see as much Quake as possible.
All right, well, guess what? We're not going to have to wait too long, because the first match of day 2 is about to be underway, and your guides on this journey, your servers, if you will, 40 Alliance and ZSX, take it away.
Well, Dan, hopefully we'll be serving up something sweet. How you feeling about this one? As we do kind of look like the servers for the evening, don't we?
But we're going to bring you guys some treats. That's absolutely fine with me for today.
Oh yeah, you are the treat, Dan. You are the treat. So yeah, if predictions, I mean, how do you feel about this one? Again, it's a bit of a clash of styles too, right? Where Wenger's more high intensity tempo, and base is just the ability to kill that tempo and slow everything down. Yeah,
I think on the picks and bans alone, it's pretty even across the board. We start with Galena versus Doom. Not a lot to pick between the two. Galena is still amazingly strong on Awoken. Doom slightly preferred, but Galena has amazing utility as well. I can't really call it. I do feel a Wenger victory coming through. I think he's been playing better throughout the stage, but I'm going to call a 2-1.
2-1 Wenger. I think that's fair. I think either way we're going to go to 3. That's what everyone wants to see, what I want to see, what chat wants to see. And based on some of the performance yesterday from base, I think he's going to come out swinging. The one thing that does worry me a little bit was, and it doesn't really apply here in terms of matchup, but that Sorlag versus Nyx game versus Anaku was, we kind of talked about it off stream about how base didn't really feel like putting the pedal to the metal when he had the advantage with the stack and everything. And you kind of wonder if that's just fear, not wanting to play into Zanaku's hands, but I mean, you have the advantage, you have to be able to push it, and we're going to see if that kind of affects him in this set today. But it all starts right here, right now. Stage 2 finals, day number 2. Dan, Wenger versus base on Awoken.
Yeah, a big part of that was just him not connecting with rail. So he's another one of these players that his game is very much based around the rails. If he begins to hit with that weapon, he's a lot more proactive. Wenger less so, still an aim-heavy player, but definitely more strategical in the way he takes fights.
Well, 2 big rails right off the bat. Luckily, Wenger didn't pick up the Mega quite yet after missing that rocket jump to the middle 50. So all things about even for now, as Wenger slowing it down in the T-Con area, trying to control middle of the map. Definitely wants to get a rail eventually, but base well aware of that. Holding tight, at least for the time being, as Wenger is able to snag the heavy, takes a rail jumping up, but here's the pressure. Mega's not going to be up for a while. Base is way too early and gets melted by Wenger's LG.
Yeah, Wenger knew exactly what base was playing with in terms of weapons, so was more than happy to eat a rail and still continues to push, knowing base had nothing to defend the item with. Really smart play by Wenger to start the game.
Definitely strong starts as he plants that totem firmly in the banana. Looking for position on this heavy, and base already setting up on the Mega. Wants a better shot at it this time. Misses with that opening rail. That could be crucial. Misses with another one. There's the rocket jump for Wenger. He wants to take this fight right now, but the steal on the Mega hits him with the daisy, and that is unfortunate for Wenger.
Yeah, I like the aggression. It was definitely the right choice. Slightly sloppy in execution and just a little bit of fortune for base to pick that up, but he now ties it up. He's in a precarious situation, doesn't have a lightning gun, so has to be careful engagement he takes with Wenger, who does have one. No rail though, so Base can back off, hit some extra damage. Wenger's going to push in here, knowing there's no lightning gun to play with. Wants to force the mid-range fight. Base escapes for now. Escaping himself away and has to forfeit the Mega. So, not a bad trade for the Italian. Base now does have the weaponry to defend and finds a totem en route as well.
Wenger still has one planted, about to have one in the pocket, as it looks like Base took out another one. Pocket totem 5 seconds away as a Base kind of jumping up and down in the T-Con. Won't have position on this heavy, might deal some damage with the rail, looking for a shot potentially as Wenger swipes that away. The fake on the jump pad here. Good rail from Wenger as well. Base waiting on this Mega. Wow, what a combo from Wenger as he's just hitting everything right now, Dan.
Oh, he is looking good so far. Back rails already sitting at 66%. Big split on the items now, so having done all of that damage and taken the map away from Base, he needs to defend the rocket, which is exactly what he does. Go through aggressively, drops the totem for a bit of information if Base wants to go through that teleporter and has the map on lockdown. 5 more seconds to set up casually for this Mega. Things are looking very good in the opening 3 minutes of Wenger. A little bit low on the rocket ammo, so needs to work his way around the map to pick up that. Restocking. Try and work out what his opponent's doing. He knows he's gone up for the rail. Big rocket jump up, nice and aggressive and clean to finish up that frag.
Good read from Wenger. Just playing denial on that rail as long as he can, but still keeping an eye on the items, keeping things tight. There's the heavy pickup and the split as you mentioned before. Favorable for Wenger. He's playing from the lower position right now. Totem for a little bit of insurance here, but he's going to have to concede just trying to deal damage on this Mega.
Yep. I like the balance of play so far. He knows he doesn't need to be aggressive on his item. He's done his job in terms of map control. He's now delaying his opponent as well. Doesn't connect with the rails he would want to. But knowing his opponent doesn't have the right weapons, wants to push in aggressive here. And I am enjoying, again, the aggression coming out from Wenger in times of vulnerability for Base. He knows there are few and far between opportunities when you can increase that pressure on a player like Base. So when the opportunities arise, he's capitalizing on it.
Big rocket. Base is going to take this fight. Both players extremely weak. Wenger gets the pocket totem, but that's still not going to heal him too much here. As the Mega is claimed by Base, he makes the jump back over to the T-Con. Wenger again fighting from this lower position, trying to line up a rail and just missing each other. Ooh, with the double peek, hits him again. Base so weak, needs to be so careful with his movement now.
Yeah, insane damage coming out from Wenger from positions of defense, and Base has been forced onto the back foot, even conceding a heavy for free. We'll have to concede the Mega for free, but Wenger's now in this T-Con area. Base will know it. Again, he's baiting out the movement across so he can get out through that TP. So nice play from Base, but he is struggling in combat situations.
Yeah, I mean, the mobility we mentioned that Wenger gave up isn't really an issue right now. He's dealing with it well. He's reading Base very well, and he's also denying weapons and items where he needs to. And as you said, aggression at the perfect times. Very strong start from Wenger, and rockets like that into rails, and Wenger is just on fire right now. 4-1, 5 minutes in on this first map, Dan. Wenger looking so strong.
Base is really struggling with the tempo. As soon as Wenger gets his stack, he's just going plus forward, and Base is not handling it at the moment. Faking the RG. So it goes down again. Doesn't actually get utilized this time, but the rails connecting nicely. Over 60% hitting. 50% LG. Base himself missing a lot, which is a big problem. He's connected with the rails. The game mid lanes to stabilize him, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to find a way to try and slow Wenger down, and a big part of that is hitting your rails.
It just can't connect. It's a huge issue for Base right now. Wenger just keeping the pressure on, denying all these items, and more importantly, he hasn't really gotten overstack going, but he does have totems when he needs them. And again, just the rails not missing. The rocket jump forced out of Base. He has to get out of there. It's a free heavy for Wenger, and he can just keep applying pressure.
Yeah, every time Base goes to try and do a little bit of chip damage with the rail, Wenger at least responds in kind, if not does more, and he's caught him here in the banana room. Goes back. Wenger, big brain play, catches him on the double back and works his way around to the Mega. Really nice play, confident play. That's what we want to see.
It just looks almost too easy right now for Wenger. Just 5-1, and as you mentioned before, base, it's not the highest scoring game, but the tempo just isn't in base's favor because of aggression like this. There's the totem into the LG. Base trying to fight for his life. Good Rockets now actually forcing vengeurR back. And that's one of the few fights that toe-to-toe base has actually bullied vengeurR off.
But the intent was there again, knowing he has a stack advantage, wanting to push the issue. This time, as you say, vengeurR doesn't execute, base gets away with a good stack, but he needs to make it count. He needs to get this heavy for free and not receive any damage in doing so.
And another great rail from vengeurR.
And look at that, the stacks are even because of the fact that vengeurR hit that rail up to pick up. And he's won himself a mega. 3 minutes to go, 2.5 now. Time is closing in for the Russian. The amount of damage difference in this game is absolutely absurd. And we have another big engagement which base has to take with time closing in. It's not the right one, it's not the right chance. And it really does look like it's last chance saloon now. We'll probably one more big push to come out, and this is going to be it. He's going in for the mega, but hasn't got the stack, hasn't got the aim, and that will be the game. As vengeurR will be taking a very clean victory on Awoken. Even with 2 minutes left, there's virtually nothing Base can do at this stage.
Just insane shaft from vengeurR right there. Can he hit the rail? Almost converts. It doesn't even matter. As you said, 2 minutes left, up 6. It's going to take a miracle from base to try and pull this one back. And vengeurR just good, calculated aggression, and even the times where he had to give up the items, he was there to deal damage, to make sure that nothing was free for base. And base just couldn't really get his feet under him in this one and couldn't dictate the tempo. And we've talked about how base feels most comfortable when he's playing at his pace and making his opponent play at the rate of speed in which he wants. But vengeurR absolutely denying that at every turn.
Absolutely and completely agree. The tempo was entirely dictated by vengeurR. The use of the rocket jump around the map was superb. As soon as he had a full stack advantage, he just went aggressive. Base was in the right position at the right time, but vengeur's proactive aggression was just too much for base to handle, and at the same time, base was hitting as much as you would expect it to. So those pushes were working out exponentially in his favor.
Base has to make something happen. There's the push with the LG, and vengeurR goes through the telly, and it's just going to make base's last minute a nightmare. Even though he wants to put up some consolation frags, maybe get a little confidence going, vengeurR is going to make sure that that doesn't happen. So really well played from vengeurR. Hell of a start as well. This is kind of our first showing of vengeurR for this tournament.
Yeah, 50% LG, 50% rail. Over 1,000 more damage. It was, it's only 7-2 for you, but it felt like a lot more than that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Not the highest scoring, but again, vengeurR dictated the pace. You could tell that base was just not comfortable pretty much the entire game. Again, to put that in context, that's not easy to do. Again, Space is very good at making sure that you play slow and play exactly how he wants, and vengeurR just, yeah, really, really good showing on Awoken. Probably one of his stronger, if not strongest maps, so maybe that plays into it a little bit, but big brain plays too, taking away the Galena, making sure he doesn't have to worry about any cheeky totems or overstacks, and just saying, you take the mobility, I got this covered, and vengeurR puts map number 1 in his pocket.
Yeah, and I think that's the scary thing, is the fact that the Galena felt irrelevant. It was just purely being out-dueled. Controlling the items better, hitting more shots, making the right choices. The totems were there, but I didn't think I saw any real utility come out. There were a few used for information, a couple of restacking, but it wasn't there. It was just pure basic dueling and a great performance from start to finish.
Absolutely agree. And going into Ruins here shortly, Anarchy versus Eisen. A bigger map, of course. Base can rely on that rail and space, but the problem is he wasn't really connecting with rail in the first place. So what do you do in this situation where you are kind of a rail-heavy player? Base your game around rail, but you're not hitting rails. He's got to be able to adapt and have a different game plan going into map number 2.
Yes, and he needs to find a way to stall vengeurR, to do more damage in and around the map, to check that tempo, because as soon as vengeurR hit critical mass, he had that 175, 125 there or thereabouts. you saw the aggression come out. Rocket jumping up into base's face, making the right decision, generally executing better. Apart from that one engagement late in the game over by Mega, every one of his decisions worked out. So Lady Luck was in his corner today, and it just wasn't base's day.
Yeah, just really unfortunate. And it goes back to, you know, hitting your shots is really important.
Yeah.
I get that, but base was just not on target on, and at least map number 1. Hopefully bounces back map number 2, because I feel like vengeurR, knowing that, you know, stats aren't everything, but he kind of looks at the scoreboard and he kind of feels, all right, his rail was off. I can kind of push this. I can push his buttons a little bit, be a little more aggressive than usual, and kind of force him to hit those shots. And until he does, vengeurR can dictate the pace and play as aggressive as he wants.
Definitely. Awoken is a map that you can force the pace a lot more. Won't be as easy on Ruins. You can slow the pace down, as we saw when base played Galena last time. vengeurR has Anarchy though, so he'll want to keep the pace high. He'll want to use that inject smartly. Ison, you can try and stall it out, as you say, play around Timmy, so that can be pretty useful, and that's what base is going to have to do and have to do well.
Timmy's the real MVP at times, and we'll see if he comes up big for base on this one. Again, best of 3, so vengeurR looking at a quick 2-0 potentially, base trying to send us to a map number 3, and we'll see. It's going to take a little bit of adaptation, maybe just heating up that rail, dusting off that mouse, whatever he's got to do to connect with more of those to open up his game a little bit and open up his options.
Yeah, but I think playing on a slower map will now suit base, because you can stable, you can build your way into the map, you can build your way into the series, you can build a bit of a strategy. On a map like Awoken, you're having to fight, you're forced to take fights, you can't then hide. It's very difficult to do that. So this map and tempo will be easier to dictate and should suit base to build himself some confidence.
Well, we'll see. I think we're getting in. Yep, we heard correctly, as we're going to get into map number 2, folks, between vengeurR and base to kick off Saturday. Live right now, and we are looking through vengeurR's eyes. He's coming off that map 1 victory, feeling pretty good, cruising around. Bit of fire from both players, but nothing connecting yet. As base has to be careful going through the telly. vengeurR firing some rockets. LG from base trying to throw down Timmy for a little bit of assistance. Wow, the rocket dodge from base. Just dancing around those rockets from vengeurR.
9% LG off the spat, but as you say, great dodge. Both able to get out very healthy. That's absolutely fine. Both had to use their abilities as well, so map kind of resets. vengeurR's going down for a cheeky little rail, but just gets information on the pickup, and already we'll also see a big split on the major items, which will come into play as vengeurR even goes to delay this, but base is in the vicinity for that knowledge.
More importantly, finally gets in on the rockets. vengeurR trying to get some rails in. Rails exchanged, but base is happy to finally have rockets now. Sets up Timmy down on the heavy area too. This is going to be a little bit rough for vengeurR as wants to get some damage. That's a great rail, all things considered. Dealing with Timmy, still getting a rail in, and being able to rotate back for the Mega. Wow, the LG! Oh, that's a fantastic rail. Almost gets another one, but vengeurR kickflips around the corner. Shoddy Pippin in the face. Takes the lead 1-0.
But he had to use the inject to get that frag, and now is very weak, having eaten that rail. Base knows he's done his job, will pick up a free heavy. He also knows vengeurR will be on the ropes and want to rotate the map to the other side to pick up the light, to pick up the hell, so more than likely try to catch him across the map. Hears him up by the Mega. He's actually really made a move in, but the timing isn't there, and it is just a second too early. Base ties up the game.
Really, really good play from base there, throwing Timmy like a grenade up there for that added insurance, and almost gets a rail relatively quickly off the spawn. vengeurR has to be careful as LG was out, trying to float him, keeping base at bay. Good zoning here, swaps to rail, and again converts. vengeurR's rail is just so on point right now.
Yeah, it's incredibly crucial, particularly as a light champion. If you're getting those early engagements, you need to speed the Anarchy to follow up. The inject isn't there, but he knows there's so much he's done, and easy as you like, just before the Mega as well. He's also going to catch him off the spawn. Doesn't hit the rail, but he's going to go on the chase here. Nice and aggressive from the Italian. He takes a little lick of the machine gun. Base has to go set up very early, but it's heavy, and just pray vengeurR doesn't make a push, because he's only got a lightning gun. It's 5 seconds to defend it, and he's going to have to evacuate the scene.
And even though this is a bigger map, you kind of get the feeling that base is having a hard time dictating pace. vengeurR is playing exactly how he wants, keeping up tempo, and base, again, very uncomfortable.
This is what we've been saying all season long for someone like base, that he's struck. He's not the one dictating the pace of the game, not the one forcing his playstyle on opponents, and vengeurR is refusing to succumb to that, and he's just keeping base second guessing. And look at this damage, constant output of damage from Vengur.
He's chasing him down with the right reads, missing
inject.
with that rail just barely. Barreling in now as he deals with it. There's the inject, very, very weak. Timmy almost caps him, but does win out on the heavy. It was sloppy, but it got the job done, but Vengur's still weak.
But there's so much time before the next major item. Vengur can just restack, reposition, and bully base. Base has barely touched an item all game.
Tri-Bolt going for a little bit more with the rail, but a little bit of LG is going to force him off, and now Base has to do a little bit of telly shenanigans into a rail.
Nice.
Net positive for Base here, but now he has to be careful. Another great rail. Vengur very weak, and Base converts. Now he's heating up with the rail.
Yeah. As soon as Vengur misses, Base starts to connect. Looks what happens. But here we go. Now he has to keep Vengur on the back foot, try and connect with something, but Vengur just comes strolling in with the Anarchy dodge. Base connects with nothing and just gets melted.
Just such good dodging from Vengur there. Base couldn't land that crucial initial rocket to give him the pop and then track, but Vengur doing a great job. Shotgun blast, the rocket following Base through the telly, almost connects.
This is what happens when you play at such a quick tempo. It's the way Rafa plays. He forces you to think faster than you're used to in duel. It forces you to be perfect in your positioning, to be clinical in your execution. And it's really working for Vengur at the moment. His Base is just looking even scrappy in some of these engagements.
Yeah, caught off guard. Has to think a little quicker than usual maybe, and that leads to a lot of mistakes, and then Vengur can just use those mistakes and exploit those mistakes. As now he's going to dive in. Needs to be careful though. This is good from Base, but somehow Vengur just pushes through, and Timmy actually gets negated by that wall of the heavy. So a really good push from Vengur. Unfortunate for Base. The trap was set, but couldn't execute.
Yeah, I mean, Base felt quite hopeless. Set up there 15 seconds early. Oh, great! Oh. He mans up, but there you go. It's a moment of magic just to get back on the board. Now he's picked up. Vengur needs to set up and make sure he gets a clean heavy, and then he's in a good position once again to start grinding his way back into the game. And I mean, we've been talking about the dominance of Vengur, but it is 4-3, 40. I mean, Base is in this game more than with a hope.
Very, very much so in this game, and maybe in Vengur's head with that double gauntlet into machine gun, he's like, look, we still have a game on our hands, young man. I don't know what you're thinking, but LG on LG is Vengur planting his flag on that Mega. The rocket dodge again from Base is fantastic, but that rail will leave him at 44 HP. Needs to be careful here, as Vengur has free reign to set up shop down by the heavy, but still weak. No inject for another 30 seconds as well.
Yeah, and in the last kind of 2 minutes, Base has been slowly hitting more shots, working his way back into the game, got a few items under his belt now, and has begun to stabilize on damage output, which is exactly why he's in such a good position.
He has been suffering on the Mega pickups, only 2 this entire game. Splitting the heavies though, but Vengur's just pushing in again, and the inject saves him, and again, Timmy not in a position to actually deal damage.
I'm honestly not a big fan of the way he's playing on this heavy at the moment. He's too reliant on hitting that first rocket, which is very difficult against a flying Anarchy. I think he needs to be put more emphasis on stopping Vengur to getting into that position. And she will get a frag here, but again, it's so touch and go in all of these fights. It needs to be more clinical.
Definitely a little more scrappy than he'd like. Base just caught glimpse of Vengur. Vengur with the preemptive LG making sure, hey man, don't drop. It's gonna burn. 5-4 though, holding on to a 1 frag lead. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes away from Vengur taking this 2-0. Base has got to cook up something delicious here. Does have Timmy on hand as he's gathering the resources that he can. Still no rockets though, and that could be very crucial as he's going to make his way around the T-Con. Vengur lying in wait. There he is up close and personal, but Base does get a rail. Fortunately, doesn't get popped into the T-Con, and now he can play defensive. Another rail. Timmy, again, in a position where he can't really deal damage. The shotgun's going to have to do everything, but it can't. Vengur with the rockets takes another frag.
It's rinse and repeat. We've seen that frag so many times. Base too early on the heavy. Vengur working his way around and get up another frag here. Base has done a good job to get up alive, and Vengur has to just second guess how he's going to finish this one, but Base managed to get away for now. Mega's up in a few seconds. If he can get into the room, he will be able to pick up the item. And he hits a rail on the exit, which is a big one before the heavy.
absolutely huge, especially considering he missed 2 layups earlier. But 6 to 4, 2 minutes in, now he has position on the heavy. It's going to get it for free, and this is where he has to come back. But look at his weapons. He just now gets LG, still doesn't have rockets, Dan.
Oh, and that he will be able to work his way over there now. vengeur's in the T-con once again, trying to defend this Mega. This is a nice position for that. He hears base going around, so will now leave the area, eats a rail, but he has the inject, so it's not too bad. But we'll want to hold on to that as time is closing in.
vengeur's trap. This should be a frag here, but he's going to make it as hard as he can. There's a great rail. Can he finish it off? vengeurr just trying to stay alive now. No inject. Goes through the telly, and base is actually out of rails. There's the rocket jump, and now vengeur's just going to play the waste time game.
No.
And he somehow turns that into a frag with his rail. Fantastic play from vengeurr, doing the dance all day.
Now vengeur's running the map. Nothing up on the base. He's struggling for weapons, and he got a rail. And with 3 frags in a minute. Oof. That's a stretch.
Do you believe there's still time? Probably not, as vengeur's going to drop and try and deal some damage. Has no reason to commit, just throwing some bullets bases away here. And just so many rails coming out with vengeurr right now. Not the biggest hit percentage, admittedly only hitting 9, but they all seemed very, very crucial. This base hits another rail, but chasing this down and getting the 2 extra frags just to tie it in. I think this is done. vengeur's done at 2-0.
Yep, very simple, if I'm honest. Day at the office for vengeurr. Didn't look too stretched. Again, they were relatively close score lines, but never felt that vengeurr was very on the back foot. So, credit to him. He's looking in good form coming into the finals. First showing of him so far, and he'll feel confident.
Absolutely solid start for vengeurr there, and base just not able to get his feet under him in either map, not able to dictate the pace. vengeurr coming out of the gate swinging, saying, this is the pace we are going to play. I'm going to push my advantage. I'm going to push it every single time, and even if you hit your shots, I'm still going to take advantage by dealing damage on those free items, and just played really, really solid. vengeurr took it 2-0. Congrats to him. Fantastic showing.
I think he made Ison look... Ison had some utility, but again, it felt at times that base was lost. Like standing down just in the heavy area with Timmy 10, 15 seconds before, you were sitting duck and praying that you hit the first shot. vengeurr just balled on through, out-positioned, out-maneuvered, and cleaned base up time and time again down in that heavy area. Didn't feel that base was able to get in on the map, and it's not very often you can say he looks rattled, and I feel that today he just looked a little bit rattled.
Totally agree. Wheat, what do you think about the Timmy usage down by the heavy?
In theory, it seems like an idea that would work on paper, but in execution, that was just clearly not the case. I think what you said, Dan, is right on. Base just didn't quite look like he had it all there. On the flip side, vengeurr looked incredible, right? We talked about sort of the ups and downs as we spoke a little bit about the opening of the match, and vengeurr looked solid, right? I was trying to find anything that I felt like he wasn't doing right, per se. I think his champion picks were spot on. They worked out well for him. Even the Anarchy on Ruins, and his aim was looking very, very solid. So this is a vengeurr that I think could give a lot of players existing in the QPL right now a lot of trouble. This is a vengeurr who has a ton of confidence in themselves and is got the skills to back it up in game. So very impressive play. Was not expecting a 2-0, you guys. And even though the games are pretty close, game 1 was actually much more. I mean, it was 7-1 before the closing minutes,
yeah.
right? Base's last 2 frags were sort of gimmies in a lot of ways, and it's a pretty solid beatdown. I mean, given that he was playing Galena on Awoken, I'm not really surprised, but congratulations to vengeurr. Keep your eyes on him, everybody, because he's always performed fairly decent in the finals, but if he plays like this throughout, I think we could see more upsets.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Definitely.
Like I think what we've been saying for vengeurr, the next step in his journey is to play more like this, to take games away from his opponents, not just to manage them. I think in the past he would allow maps to get too close and give his opponents an in just by being a little bit too passive at times, but not once in that series. He was always on the front foot. And as you said, they looked close on paper, but when you're actually watching them, they didn't feel close. vengeurR had that in full control and was dictating all the moves throughout.
Completely agree.
Awesome. Well, game one is in the books. Base will drop down to the lower bracket. vengeurR will continue on. And that means that we're going to be taking a quick break and coming back for our second matchup of day 2. That one's going to be Razy versus Sib, as Sib gets an introduction into the QPL with his first official match outside of Challengers. That's coming up next. So thanks for joining us here in the early morning or the early afternoon around the world. We've got more Quake action coming at you live right after this.